This video provides an overview of safety regulations in Ontario and is a guide to some of the hazards in a mineral exploration workplace. Prior to 1964, worker safety was unregulated in Ontario. The Factory Act of 1884 limited working hours for women, girls, and children, but essentially protected the rights of the employer and the pursuit of profit over protecting workers from harm. Workplace safety in the 21st century is regulated by WSIB and is primarily governed by the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act 1997 and the Occupational Safety Act. Some workers are excluded, such as those who are federally employed, but these acts, or similar acts in other provinces, are the regulations that will govern your employment in Canada. Each year, the WSIB publishes workplace accident statistics. These data are from WSIB's 2016 report and show the cost of workplace injury claims. Interesting things to note. WSIB paid out $2.25 billion in workers' compensation in 2016, and high-impact claims, those that have a significant impact on workers and employees, accounted for 32% of all lost time claims and 42% of all lost time benefit payments. This hyperlink will take you to the 2016 WSIB by the numbers report if you wish to explore workplace accidents further. The table on the left details lost time claims for the period 2007 to 2016 by industry sector. The service industries are by far the highest contributor at 32% of all LTIs, but bear in mind that these data don't take into account the number of people employed in these industries. Notably, mining, which includes mineral exploration, is very low on the list, and in fact mining is the safest of the heavy industries. In 2016, mining was the only industry in which lost time injury claims decreased over the previous year by 7%. The pie diagram on the right shows a graphical representation of the data in the table. Part 3 of the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1990 specifically governs the duties of employers, supervisors, and workers. You are not expected to memorize the Act. However, you should be able to demonstrate that you understand the rights and responsibilities of these groups under the Act. Follow the hyperlink for more details. Employers must ensure that workers are provided with equipment, materials, and protective devices as prescribed. Equipment and protective devices are maintained in good working condition. Any prescribed health and safety measures are carried out in the workplace, and that equipment, materials, and protective devices are used as prescribed. Employers are also obligated to provide information, training, and supervision to workers to protect their health and safety. What this means in simple terms is that your employer must provide you with all the necessary PPE to perform your job, that it is in working order, that you are using it correctly, and they must provide you with training to do the job you are asked to do. As a worker, you also have responsibilities. You must work in compliance with the Act and regulations, use or wear the PPE, protective devices, or clothing that your employer requires you to wear, report the absence of or defect in any protective device that may endanger yourself or another worker, and report unsafe conditions or practices to your employer or supervisor. You must also not remove any protective device required either by the regulations or the employer without providing a replacement, operate equipment or work in a manner that may endanger yourself or another worker, or engage in pranks, roughhousing, boisterous conduct, or other unsafe practices. Again, in plain English, this means that you are responsible for your own safety in the workplace and the safety of others. You must use PPE that is provided, and if you are asked to use equipment on which you have not been trained, you are to refuse to do the task. You're also required to report unsafe acts or conditions to your supervisor, and you may not engage in horseplay of any kind. As an employee, you have 3 basic rights that are covered by law. You have the right to refuse unsafe work. What this means in practice is that if you are asked to perform a task for which you are not trained, or that requires protective equipment that you have not been provided, you can refuse to do the work. You also have the right to participate in workplace health and safety activities. Most workplaces of any size have health and safety committees that implement policy and that have representatives from management and employees. You also have the right to know or be informed about workplace dangers. An employer must inform you of actual or potential hazards for any task that you are asked to perform. You are entitled to question your employer regarding health and safety issues and compliance, and to refuse unsafe work without reprisal. This means that your employer can't punish or fire you, or even threaten to do so, for refusing unsafe work or raising health and safety issues in the workplace. If you are injured at work, seek immediate first aid. This is the responsibility of the employer, who must also pay the cost of transportation to a doctor or hospital. Make sure to document the accident or injury, even if it is minor. Minor injuries can become problematic, and if you sustained the injury at work but didn't report it, you will not be eligible for compensation should it worsen over time. The accident or injury must be reported to WSIB using the Workers' Report of Illness Injury Form, Form 6, within 3 days, except for fatal or catastrophic workplace accidents, which are reported immediately using the phone number at the bottom of the poster. WSIB will facilitate your return to work at an appropriate time following your recovery. Mineral exploration poses a special set of hazards. Often you are in a remote workplace without ready access to emergency services, and so as the first line of defense, hazard management is crucial, even more so than in a regular workplace. There are many things that can injure you or cause illness, so be aware of your surroundings and workplace conditions. Remember, you have the right to refuse to perform a task that is unsafe or for which you have not been trained. You are also obligated to report unsafe conditions. When you are living and working in a mineral exploration camp, you will experience both challenging field conditions and challenging living conditions. You are also potentially isolated from immediate medical help. Most camps will have someone with a Level 3 first aid certificate, usually the cook. However, if you need to be medevaced out, it's going to take time. Potential hazards in the field include things like wildlife, most likely bears, but other critters can bite or sting too, helicopters, drill rigs, and heavy equipment. Environmental factors such as heat, cold, noise, and dust can cause acute injury or chronic long-term damage. Long shifts and long field rotations can cause fatigue, which needs to be managed, and travel to and from site in vehicles remains one of the biggest dangers. We will be discussing all of these factors further in class. Remember, no job is worth dying for. Everyone wants to get home unharmed at the end of the day.